Ari, we're still a few days away from Streets of New Capenna spoilers really kicking off, but I'm going to use what we've got so far, because we've got a good few handful of cards so far. I'm going to use what we've got to try and guess what's going to be coming, to look at what the archetypes might be, to see what information they're giving us about the archetypes, about these crime families, and see what we can work out and see what we can guess, and just have a bit of fun, really. So if you don't know, then the New Capenna, it is based around the shards. These come from Shards of Alara. It's a set which came out, I think it was about 2002 or something like that, quite a while ago now. And this is not the way I always thought. So you have shards and wedges, but shards are basically the wedge of the block here. So you can see here, this is the Bant shard from Shards of Alara, and it's now known as the Broker's Shard. And it has usually the white with the two allied colour pairs that it has. So white with green and blue. So you can see here they've been pulled out as a little bit of a wedge. Even though these are known as the shards, not the wedges, it's a little bit confusing, but it's the way magic goes, isn't it? So like I say, these first came out in Shards of Alara. That's where they got the names from, the original Bant, Esper, Grixis, Jund, and Naya. And they haven't really had a set based around these colour, not colour pairs, but these three colour combinations for a while. We've had a few wedges, so that was Karnzatar here was on wedges, and also Ikoria was kind of based on wedges as well, but a very light touch. It seems to me it's going to be more of a three colour set this time, but we've had a couple of times that we've had the other three colours, but now we're really going to be focusing on these shards and looking at a different way around them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be going through the spoilers we've had so far, as well as the information we've got from Alara, because there's only so much you can do with colour grouping. You can do different things, but there's only so much you can do. We saw this a little bit with Strixhaven compared to the colour pairs on Ravnica. There were some differences, but there was a lot of things the same. And see what information we can just guess from here and see where it can build to. So a quick overview of each of the crime families. First of all, we have the green, white and blue. This is the Brokers. So you see here, Brokers have got this kind of eagle. In fact, this is the one I don't know least about, but it's got this eagle symbol here. Gavin Ver has been doing some really good videos describing what the crime families are about. But these are a family which are based around lawyers and things like that, making sure that the rule of law is laid down. Feels kind of controlly to me, but we'll have to wait and see. And this is obviously based around the band colours. Then you've got white, blue and black, which is Obscura. This used to be Esper, and these are... I think it's supposed to be kind of assassin-y bit of knowledge. It feels a little bit like Jetmir from the Ravnica guilds to me. But that's what they're all about. Then you've got the blue, black, red. What was Grixis is now known as Maestrous. And these are vampire lord things. I think they're supposed to be a little bit of assassins as well. They like the finer things in life. You can see they've got the goblet here in their logo. You've got the Riveteers, green, red and black. And these are what was Jund, and these are known for building and demolishing the world around New Capenna. You've got these big high-rise buildings that's kind of New York 1920s, 1930s-esque kind of feel about it. So they're also doing a lot of building here. And then finally you've got the Naya colour group, which are now known as the Cabarretti, and these are known as the party animals, I suppose. And you know they like to have a good time. They're running nightclubs and all this stuff. So quite a wide variety of things going on here. We're going to look into them in just a moment, but before we do, I'm just going to flash up this code for, I think it's a pack of Midnight Hunt on the screen. So it's just one pack. One person will be able to redeem it, but I do like to share these when I get a chance. I do really love it when people click that subscribe button. It does make, every time I get through a notification on my phone, I just switch on the tracking apps and things, and I say I've got one more. When you're a small channel like me, that extra one really makes a difference. And I will be coming out with some full breakdowns of the sets. I'll be doing some mechanic explanations as well. They've proved to be really popular in the past, so I'm going to continue going with those over the coming weeks. So ring the bell as well, and you'll be able to keep up with all of those things that are going on. Anyway, let's get into looking at these crime families in a little bit more detail. First up, we've got the Brokers. So this is the Bant colour group. And we've got these charms. So I'm going to go through, for each of these groups, we've got the charm. We've got a card, if we've got a card spoiled, another card spoiled from that family. And then I'm also going to go back to the Alara card as well. Or the Alara draft archetype as well. So first of all, Broker's Charm. These charms all work in the same way. They cost one of each of their colour of mana. They are instant speed, and they've got choose one from 3 options. So the 3 options here are target creature you control Gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. So that's the kind of the green mode of it, because they tend to have a green mode, a white mode, or a blue mode, or whatever the 3 colours are. So that's the green mode. It's a punch. It's a +1/+1 punch. That's quite strong, actually. That's a decent ability to have on an instant speed card. Uncommon. All these charms are uncommon, and I think that that's okay. It's 3 colour, which is going to make it hard to cast, but usually sets will have some good fixes in them, so hopefully it won't be too bad. Casting this on turn 4, even turn 5 is still quite good, and the flexibility gives you some good options as well. You've also got Destroy Target Enchantment. I don't know how big that's going to be. You'll see in a moment we've got at least 1 enchantment spoiled, and I think there's going to be a full cycle at rare. I don't know how big enchantments are going to be. We've had enchantments in the last few sets, so they could be continuing this through. I know Maro's been talking about wanting to link a year's worth of sets together, so they might do that through enchantments, you never know. So that could end up being quite an important mode. And the final one is draw 2 cards. It's a divination. It's an instant speed divination. Yes, you've got to pay 3 different colours, but that's quite good as well, especially if you've got other instant speed things going on. So what does this tell us about what this is going to do? And I think the biggest giveaway here is the first mode there, because that means that you're going to care about creatures. If this colour group didn't care about creatures at all, that wouldn't be something which is caring about creatures. Yes, it's green, but you could easily have had a green thing going to find a land, or going to find something else from the top of your library, or there's a load of other things this green mode could be. But to me, it only would have that creature aspect on there if it said it's going to care about creatures. And if we look at the Broken Ascendancy, so this is an enchantment. Apparently it's going to be a cycle. I don't know if they're all going to be the one of each colour. They might have some, you might have 2 Grixis colours or something like that. I don't know exactly how they're going to work out, because I've only seen this one. But this one is enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 count on each creature you control, and a loyalty count on each planeswalker you control. So that's saying that counters could be a thing here. It might not be. It might just be kind of a go widey thing. There's another family which cares about going wide, so maybe there's going to be a bit of crossover between the families. But this implies that board presence is going to be important. Creatures primarily, probably, especially in limited, but maybe planeswalkers as well. I don't know how many planeswalkers are going to have, but this definitely implies that creatures are going to be a big focus of the brokers, which is interesting because they're supposed to be lawyers, so it's all about knowledge and stuff like that. But maybe it's just having a full team of lawyers or something like that. I don't know. If we go back to Alara, the mechanic there was Exalted. So this is, you might have seen it on the Noble Hierarch. That's the one. I nearly couldn't remember the name. That's the famous card which has Exalted, but there's a load of other cards as well. If a creature attacks alone, then it gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control. It's a little bit like the red-white samurais thing, but it actually worked better. That we had it in Kamigawa Dynasty. You can see it here on the Wave Skimmer Aven. And it was quite a good mechanic. It was quite strong, but it did also care about creatures. So that's another thing which is leading us to think this might just care about creatures. But we'll have to wait and see for what the rest of the cards spoiled will have in store for the brokers. The next family we have is the Obscura. So these are apparently witches and wizards and magical beings which like to use trickery and secrets and all that kind of things, being a bit sneaky, and getting intelligence and all that kind of thing. Like I say, it seems a little bit like Jetmir, but maybe with a more magical twist on it from Guilds of Ravnica. And I think it's going to be a pretty, what you would expect from a white, blue, black colour group in here. It's probably quite controlling. When we look at the charm, you've got choose 1, return target multicoloured permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. That's quite big. It talks about multicoloured. I'll come back to that in a second, but we'll go through the rest of the options. You've got counter target instant or sorcery spell and destroy target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. So you've got some really good modes here. First one, going back to that, it talks about multicolored, and we've seen in Maro's teasers that there's going to be a multicolored matters theme. Now, I don't know if that's going to be throughout the whole set, and that could be because we've got they're going to have lots of multicolored cards. I expect having this 3 colored set. You're going to have color pairs. You're going to have 3 colors. You're going to have all these kinds of things, and there's been some kind of all 5 colors teased as well. But I feel like the Obscura might be, it's the only place we've seen this multicolored specifically in the card, so it might be that it's going to be centered in Obscura, and maybe it's just gathering knowledge, and then they're kind of a bit greedy and trying to get all of the colors for themselves. I don't know, it could be. I've not read any of the lore yet. I like to catch up with them a little bit later on. But, maybe this multicolored thing is going to be quite important. The other two modes, counter target, instant or sorcery spell, destroy target creature or planeswalker with mana 3 or less. They're just kind of quite normal blue or black things, but that multicolored thing really has its thing. And so whether it's going to be something just for the Obscura or something for the wider set in general, I'm not sure. When we look at the card that's spoiled, we've got one of these legendary creatures. It's the head of each family. I think we've had 3 spoiled so far. This is Rafine, Scheme, Seer. White, blue, black. Again, I don't expect them all to be 3 mana with one of each colour, but we'll see what comes out. Flying, Ward 1. It's a legendary creature, Sphinx Demon. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature, whenever you attack, target attacking creature connives X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So this doesn't care about it attacking actually, so you can have this hanging back, and its target creature connives X. So I think this seems like a very complex mechanic. I'm not going to go into it now. You can kind of read it and grok it yourself if you want. If you're not too sure, I've got a feeling this might be the one that I kind of go over in a bit more detail. I think this might be like, with it being the mythic, it might be the one which does it really in a complicated way. You might just have a creature with connive 1 or something when we'll get the rest of the spoilers. But, this is drawing cards, this is discarding cards, this is getting more power, which isn't something that we usually see in this colour group, in this Esper colour group. But, it's an interesting way to look around it. Back in Alara, it cared about artifacts. It was the first place where we had coloured artifacts before Alara came out, before Shards of Alara came out. We didn't have coloured artifacts, so we're all colourless. It doesn't look like that's going to be anything to do with what we've got now, but, just including that for a little bit of information. And, but yeah, now we're going to be, okay, maybe you could say you had coloured artifacts and now you got multicoloured stuff potentially. I don't know, maybe there's something there. But, yeah, I think looks like it's going to be interesting. I think if connive is the mechanic for this colour group, I wouldn't have imagined these would care too much about creatures and increasing a creature's power, but connive does that, so that's quite interesting. It might be more of a tempo-based option, especially, like I say, especially as connive's important. And just to point out that Obscura Charm can bring back Rafine, which is pretty cool, and I'm quite happy with that. But yeah, so this looks like, I don't know what it's going to be, but the flavour looks really on point. It looks to be pretty much what you want from an Esper crime family, about knowledge and all that kind of thing. Next, we'll have the Maestros, or the Maestros, however you want to say it. This is Grixis for all you Bolas fans out there. So, Maestrous Charm, blue, black, red. Choose one, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put one of those cards into your hand, and the rest in the bottom of the graveyard. The rest into your graveyard. So, you filling the graveyard up might be important. Next, each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Yeah, okay, bit of a direct damage. Might kill somebody. And then the last one, Maestrous Charm, deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker. So a bit of removal on there. All of these have had a removal mode to them so far. You've got lose life or gain life mechanic on there, and then you've also got the look at the top 5 cards, which goes quite far, but then fills the graveyard as well. So maybe there's going to be some graveyard shenanigans on this. The Maestros, like, nice things are like, they are vampires, and you see here you got Lord Zander the Collector, which is a legendary vampire demon noble. I'll come to the rest of these texts in a minute, but they are vampires. They like the finer things in life. They like to eat, drink. They like to have nice art and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe they've got a bit of a throwaway society if they're throwing things in the graveyard as they go. And okay, maybe not, because that would imply that they would throw things away. But if you're using the graveyard, then using things you throw away, and it doesn't sound like they want to do that. Maybe it's just filling the graveyard because that's kind of a thing which works mechanically for them. I don't know. Lord Zander. When enters a battlefield, target opponent discards half the cards in their hand rounded down. Whenever it attacks, defending player mills their half the library rounded down. And whenever it dies, target opponents sacrifices half their non-land permanents they control rounded down. So this really feels like a commander card. I think it'll be fine in Limited. You'd play it, especially if you're already in Grixis, if you're already in this Maestrous family. But I don't think it's a reason to go in. I could be totally wrong. I could be proved absolutely wrong on this, but I think if you cast on a 7 mana card, chances are your opponent doesn't really have any cards in hand, and it's not really going to be doing that much. If we go back to Alara, the Unearth mechanic was this, so you would pay an Unearth cost, return it from your graveyard to play, it gains haste, and then exile at the end of the next end step, or if it would leave play. So it's just kind of like a bit of a reanimation thing. Again, caring about the graveyard, so that could be something. Yeah. I can still see this family caring about things that are going on in the graveyard. Maybe it's a bit of the sneaky shenanigans, and graveyard stuff isn't really outside the realms of Grixis. Next up, the Riveteers. So this is the old Jund colour group. So choose one, target opponent, sacrifice a creature, or planeswalker they control with the highest mana value among creatures and planeswalkers they control. Quite good. You know, it's better than your normal edict where they can sacrifice anything they want and they just sacrifice a token instead of their really big creature, which you're worried about. It's not always going to get the thing that you want, but it's going to get there a lot of the time. Exile top 3 cards of your library until end of your next end step. You may play those cards. So it's a little bit like a draw 3 almost. You can cast at instant speed, so you can cast at the end of your turn, end of your opponent's turn, and then your next turn you've got these extra 3 cards to play. You've got to play them that turn, but you can play your lands out, you can cast the spells, and it could be quite good, especially if you have other things in hand. And the last one, exile target player's graveyard. This doesn't tell a huge amount about what this is doing. I think, you got the removal mode there. You've got what's become quite a common red mode here, where you're exiling things from your graveyard. Exiling things on the top of your library and then being able to play them. The impulse draw thing. We also don't have another card from here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look back at the Alara stuff, and there was a mechanic called Devour. So you've got a creature here. There was no Devour at common or uncommon that I can see. So I've put a rare on here as well. But this cared about sacrificing your own stuff. Maybe that's where Jun's going to go this time, these Riveteers. I don't think so. I mean, they say build up and destroy, so maybe it'll be something about having a big creature and sacrificing a creature and then depending on the power or something like that. But we really don't have any clues about this one yet, so it'll be interesting to see what comes from the Jund colour group and the Riveteers. Finally, we have the Cabarretti, the old Naya colour group. So the charm here, first one, Cabarretti Charm deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker. So you've got that removal mode again. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. Not a bad effect. Could end the game quite easily. Not bad effect for 3 mana. Again, 3 colours, so yes, there's that. But that's, it's workable. And the last one, which kind of works with the previous one, create 2/1/1 green and white citizen creature tokens. So it's making these creature tokens. We've seen something about cat citizen creatures. And also put on Jetmir, which is their leader, the leader of this family. He is a cat, so maybe the cat citizen is going to come into this as well. We've also seen something about cat and dog tokens. I'm making a prediction on that it is a token which is both a dog and a cat, because it just says a card which creates cat and dog tokens. So it could create cat tokens and dog tokens, or it could create cat dog tokens, cat dog. So yeah, that's my thought at least. But it does seem to be this is a kind of a go wide group. If we look at Jetmir as well, Jetmir cares about the number of creatures you have. So if you have 3 creatures, including Jetmir, creatures you can control get +1/+0 and vigilance. If you have 6, including Jetmir, so 5 others, have another +1/+0 and trample. So that would be +2/+0, vigilance and trample. And the last one, 9, so it goes up by 3 each time. +1/+0 and double strike, which is really win more, but it makes sense to have. It's fine. But I think it's a really strong card. 5/4 for 4 mana. That's really strong. But it does seem to be all about this going wide, which is different from what we had in Alara, because that cared about bigger creatures. You can see here, Woolly Thokta was a 3 mana 5/4. And then Alara, I think we cared about having creatures of power 5 or power 5 or greater. It seemed to be a bit of a vary between the two. I didn't actually play that format, unfortunately. But you have you had this big creatures there. Now it's creatures going wide. It's a set which cares about creatures, or it's a colour group which cares about creatures. And I think it's not too different. I think obviously this going wide really does seem to be the theme here. Anyway, that's about it for now. Just a few dates for your diary. So you got the preview stream, which is coming up on the 7th of April. And I think the full spoiler is going to be coming out on the 15th of April, which is just over a week later. So that's not very long at all, because the pre-release is going to be the week after that, starting 22nd of April. That's a Friday. Pre-release is coming out before Arena this time. So Arena is releasing the following Thursday instead of the day before pre-release. So it's even more of a reason to get down to your local game store if you feel comfortable to do that. I think the pre-release is the best event. If you've never played on in a paper event before, pre-release is the best time to do it. It's the cards are very new for everybody, and especially this time when nobody's had the chance to play Arena for their previous 24 hours. But it's a very, very new player friendly environment. Look up your local game store, and I really, really suggest you do that. Also, I joined in with Draft guys a little while ago. I'll put a link to this the podcast in the description below, but I go through them with them on things to bear in mind going to your first paper event, especially if you came from Arena or something like that. So I advise you to check that out. And if you haven't checked them out already, check out Draft Chaff, because they're really good guys and they've got a really good podcast. And then, yeah, Arena release on the 28th of April, and then the paper release comes out on 29th, and then you can draft really Heart's Content in paper, and I can't wait for it, because these guild sets, I think they're good. I think they're good fun. I think sometimes they do get a little bit old, because you don't get, you tend to have 5 archetypes rather than 10, and then if one doesn't work very well, it does get a bit annoying, but we never know what they're going to do. I think, with these 3 colour sets, they do all kinds of things, and I'm really interested to see how they're going to tackle the 3 colour problem and how are you going to draft these 3 colour decks. So I think that's going to be really, really interesting. Khans was the last 3 colour set, the last real 3 colour set, and that's a top draft format of ever. So that is one. So there's lots of reasons to look forward to this. Anyway, if you've enjoyed my rambling, if you enjoyed my absolute rubbish talking here, feel free to give us a like and a subscribe. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again for the next few videos on spoilers and things as they're going to come. Bye.